It's time to call the meeting to order. Would everyone stand and would ask the power and lead us in the prayer of
Bow your heads, please. Our Heavenly Father, we're so thankful tonight for all the many blessings that you provide for us in our lives. We're thankful for our families, our friends, our jobs, our health, our homes. And tonight we're thankful that we can gather together and conduct the business for the people of Miller County. We pray that you will be here among us and that everything that's done and said will be done in a spirit of Christian cooperation and in the best interest for the people of Miller County. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice Coward?
Here.
Justice Hall?
Here.
Justice Benjamin?
Here.
Justice Rader? Here. Justice Smith?
Here.
Justice Stovall?
Here.
Justice Toombs?
Here.
Justice Watkins?
Here.
Justice Wilson?
Here.
You have quorum.
Judge, I move we approve the consent agenda.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it.
Judge, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
All those in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Are there any constitutional officers report? And if you wish to speak, would you please stand up and talk to the mic?
Go ahead. Mine's quick. I'm Joyce Dennington, Miller County Assessor. I want to thank y'all. I've got my vehicle in place now. I picked it up this week. I've already scheduled about 15 visits I need to go out and make to policyholders and discuss their values. So I just want to thank y'all for that and let y'all know that getting started right away on that. And hopefully, second half of the year, I'm going to start our rotation, so I'm out visiting all the local businesses that we have. Thank y'all.
Sheriff, well, Miller County handled 1,219 calls last month, took 115 reports, 37 arrests, the jail booked in 306, and we're averaging about a daily inmate of 309 inmates. Our felony crimes clearance is still 80%, 2 of them being criminal attempted murder, and our residential property crimes are still at 78.7% on solved, the ones that we've solved. Jail is crowded, but everything other than that's going good at the sheriff's office. I do thank y'all for the work y'all do here.
I want to give a quick one. The solar plant has been up and operational for a little over a month. And we've gotten the first monthly report for May. And everyone has one. But our, everything is more than what we expected. It's producing more energy than what we were told. County judges meeting, we were talking about this, and we came back and we were greater off than the counties. They said that actually helps enhance, the solar. So I'm excited about that. And another thing is, I'm gonna let the sheriff help with this. Our PSAP. We have a meeting in Little Rock, in August, at the end of the month. It is looking like we are going to have to consolidate the city, go into by state. We've come up with a plan. It's up to the board whether or not it will pass. The way it stands right now, the city of Texarkana, Arkansas is contributing an extra $172,000, is that correct, a year of our money to help us go into the by-state. we really won't know more than that until they take the vote. We're hoping they leave us alone. They have said they would try to take the vote to leave us as is, but honestly, I don't see that happening. Sheriff, you wanna?
I don't think we can just be hopeful that they do. I don't think, me personally, I don't think it'd be beneficial for the citizens of Miller County if we have to go into by state our 911. I don't think it'd be productive, but at the same time, we understand we have to do what is decided, I guess, by this board and y'all. So we're hoping for that split it, so just a little prayer wouldn't hurt us now.
Are there any other constitutional officers reports? Committee reports? Comments from the public, we have two. The first one is Corey Ronalds.
We together.
Okay, would y'all mind coming to the front, please? Yes.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Corey Ronalds. I'm the Director of Business Development for Community Health and Relations with Arkansas. I'm with Riverview Behavioral Health. We're here today to talk about how can we help with the issue that's going on with adolescents since the closing of the JDC. We have seen more impact on our facility as well as our community, and we have banded together to try to create and want to create to help bridge the gap on what we can do to help the community better the system. We know that there's a big problem across the state of Arkansas right now with the juvenile detention center closings, and we want to help. We want to figure out a way to make it better. We've seen a large influx of issues in the hospital since the closing, with patients being more suicidal with behaviors. We know the shortage of beds that are happening currently in the state of Arkansas, and our CEO could not be here today, but we want to figure out how to bridge the gap in the mental health community that we're having amongst adolescents. This is our community manager, Chauncey Young. He works directly on the hospital, and I wanted him to share a little bit about what goes on within the hospital.
Well, we're an acute care facility, and our goal is to potentially bring in patients or children in this case, some adults, but mostly children, that we can program, that we can process and get to a better place psychologically. The issue we're having is some of our kids that are filtering through our system, they are not necessarily there because of acute care issues. A lot of it is, criminal behavior, but we're having to try and program those children along with children of the community or children that are brought in through our community who really need that psychiatric care. So what it does is it disrupts the milieu in such a way that we are unable to program children who really need to be programmed. So we don't really have a place. We end up, because we're going to take care of those children, so we end up basically resulting to just trying to keep them safe, right? And basically trying to keep those children safe that can potentially program if they had an opportunity to do so. But now we're starting to get an influx of children who are not there to program, but there's just no place else for them.
What was the name of your facility?
Riverview Behavioral Health.
Yes, ma'am.
We recently met with a coalition, a group of people with some of the same concerns, and we were just trying to figure out with them, hey, what can we do? How can we partner with your organizations to try to come up with something that maybe mentor some of these kids, maybe identify, maybe create a better process for triaging some of the children, but we have to have a place for those children when they don't fit the mental health community.
Right. We have some people who came from Arkansas Department of Health, Ashley Lockett and Rachel Williams of Harbor House. They are banding together and they are willing to help wherever we can. We know, as well as everyone in this room know, there's a problem and that needs to be solved, and it's more important about the children to us. It's more about programming and making sure they're safe. And we can do so. We want to do our part in the community to help. We're not trying to bring awareness to an issue. We're trying to solve a problem. And that's what we want to be able to do. And the only way we can do that is not fighting against you, not talking against you, but banding, joining with you to see how we can do that. Do we hope one day that the JDC opens again? Sure we do. Do we hope there's another place that we can house children that are in those situations where criminal behaviors versus, programming homicidal ideation behaviors to harm to themselves? Of course we do. But we have to find a solution now, or it's going to get bad. We have some issues in our hospital with this. It affects everybody. It affects staff. It affects families at home, and it's just something that we want to be able to help with. We want to bridge a gap and see what we can do on our side to join together with the people that sit around this table right now.
So are you saying that juveniles that normally would be in our JDC if it were open are being sent into your facility?
Yes.
Are we doing that?
I have no idea.
Well, I don't know that there's any fewer being sentenced to confinement, but they're not being kept in Texas County. That makes a difference, I guess.
Correct. Our prosecuting attorney is here. She'll know probably more than I do.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was happening. How are they getting to you? Are they being referred by, I guess, how are they getting to you? If they're charged with a criminal offense, how are they being referred to a mental health facility as opposed to being held in a juvenile detention facility?
I'll let Corey answer this.
Okay.
Well, some of that is side of we have DCFS kids that are in our care. Some
Okay.
have been there. Some have been there north of 140 days.
Okay, so they're being referred to you by the department.
Yeah.
You're holding Department of Human Services
Yes.
kids that have been charged with a criminal
Yeah,
offense?
and there are others that, there are others, but those children, some of those children have been left in our care, whether they're from Miller County and other counties, north of 100 plus days. Some over 150, going into 200.
Is this facility on Roosevelt?
Yes, yes.
And it's the Riverview?
Yes, miss.
Falls under Southwest Mental Health?
No, Acadia.
So
Acadia Healthcare.
the children have been there 140 days. How many are you keeping at the time?
Right now, we have, out of a 20-bed, we'll just talk about the the adolescents part of that. Out of 20-bed, probably about 9 or 10 of those kids right now are DCFS or kids that we're evaluating because they've been sent through different programs because of particular behaviors. So once we assess and evaluate those children, they're supposed to go back to DCFS or go back to some of the families that they've come from. But because of the behavior, because of the nature of the crime that they've committed, families won't take them back and DCFS can't place them.
Or if they commit crimes within the facility, there's nowhere to go.
Correct.
But is it the state putting in there, or is it the county?
Well, they have case managers, social workers that are part of different counties.
This is not a judge placing them there. Maybe having by social services.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
correct.
Or if they commit something, they just get left.
Maybe if you're keeping kids that long, what set of regulations do you work under, such as the Miller County Juvenile Detention Center as it operated had educational responsibilities, certain dietary responsibilities, other things that we had, other conditions that we had to meet to operate a facility. That's one of the reasons it's so expensive. We had to have separation of male and female, that sort of thing. We all operate under single
Jacob.
strictures.
Joint Commission.
Joint Commission.
If these are DYS kids, we didn't take those kids, we had the JDC. So we didn't have a contract with the state.
Yeah.
We have
Well,
no control over what DYS kids.
yeah. Somebody, and I do understand that part. But when they come into our facility and there is an issue with suicidal, homicidal ideations, doing harm to themselves, we have to care for them. The back end is when we care for them, we continue to care for them. And those are the things, or if they do criminal negligence, criminal things within, there's no responsibility, there's no consequence, I should say.
Where does your funding come from?
Our funding, we're a for-profit hospital.
So who pays for their time there? Do you take that at a loss?
You're a little above, I don't want to speak and answer that question without our CEO being here, that's a little above my pay grade.
Both of ours.
Both of our pay grades, so we don't want to get in detail to what we don't know, we can't speak about, but we are for profit hospital. We build insurance, we do this sort of thing. Now, when it comes to the health extent of how they deal with those patients for a long period of time, I do not know.
So you guys basically, you're set up to help children who have mental problems or whatever, but you're kind of being pushed into a situation where you're keeping criminal kids. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
And that's not really what you want to be doing.
And what it does is it creates frustration within the system because the milieu is not designed for that type of behavior, right? So we're basically an acute facility. So once we get their medications adjusted, once we get them diagnosed, and once we get them to a more stable situation, we can get them back to their families or get them back to group homes, wherever they were. But with the mixture of kids that we're having now, with basically criminal behavior, but no real psychiatric diagnosis associated with it, those children have become disruptive, combative. They're destroying property.
Yes.
They attack other children within the organization. And so we find ourselves doing more internal policing than providing therapy and programming.
We sympathize with the problem there. We have the same thing, the expense of running the facility was horrendous, and we had the same problems. I sympathize with you. I don't know whether that has some good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, we wanted to do what we can, and we're going to continue to do what we can, to help. And there's a lot of people behind us, and we're not trying to call the stinker or anything, excuse my language, but we just want to know where we can help. We can do our part. And that's the most important thing. My CEO want to be here. Sorry.
Ask a question. You mentioned the JDC. If it were reopened, would you see that a solution to your
That would help.
problem?
That
would happen?
That would help. We have children that have, tore our hospital up and well, we call the police. We call the police, and you probably won't like what I'm about to say, but they're released back into our custody, because nothing. I mean, it's not a bad.
They're not charged and then put into the system?
No.
There's no place to put them.
There's no place to put them in the system. I've literally been called out of my house to handle to help, and they've been released.
Well, I know presently we are still sending juveniles to Pine Bluff.
I'm aware of the 5 beds.
But when that 5 beds is up, that's it?
No, we actually have options for other counties we hold them at, and I didn't get to that while ago, I apologize. Right now, we only have 2 juveniles at this time incarcerated, and that's in Pine Bluff. So that gives us 3 beds there, and the other 2 counties that we use, but we only have 2 beds occupied right now.
But when you report the behavior to the police, and they're taken, gets into custody, what happens then?
Well, he reports it to the city police, not the county.
Correct.
Maybe coming from the city will go over. And unfortunately, Ms. Mitchell can tell me this, tell me I'm wrong or right, most of the children are there because of their mental health issues, and with their mental health issues, they wouldn't be qualified for JDC a lot of them. Correct? Under prosecution of the
Well, if they are placed in your facility and they behave in a way that is consistent with their diagnosis, we typically would not prosecute them. But I see what you're saying, and I just heard from Holly, she's our intake officer, because my question was to Holly is how are they winding up there, and her response was that if she has an aggravated assault, a threat to kill, domestics, that sort of thing, she would normally have requested that they go to the juvenile detention center to get them out of that situation. But because that's not an option, she's asking for an assessment because she has to have, she has to have a place to get them out of that situation, and they're going to Riverview for assessments, and whereas under normal circumstances, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, under normal circumstances, if we had another placement, they probably would not have been referred to Riverview under those circumstances.
I'd like to go back to his question because all that ties together. So with JDC help, right? Not in and of itself, right? JDC would have to have a community, a coalition, a partnership. So what should happen is exactly what she just said. If they showed up at a JDC type facility, we would partner in doing those assessment and evaluations and determine whether or not that person was appropriate to go through our treatment process. If that was the case, then we'd bring them in and we'd take them through the treatment process, and hopefully they would get better. If they did not get any better, and here's where we are right now, is we're getting them, but once they're with us, we have them, right? Now we've gone from the assessment and the evaluation to basically detaining them, right? Now we become the officers, right? Versus therapists and counselors and people there to help them with the therapeutic process. Now we become sort of like a jail, right? And that's the environment now that's being created in an environment that was really meant for therapy. Now it's turned into.
You said you had some people in it like 150 days that have been in the facility.
Yeah, now 205 days.
now.
Are they Miller County?
Some are, very few are Miller County. Very few.
So if they're Texarkana City or Miller County,
But I'm still, the city has no juvenile detention facility, is that it?
No,
We were sharing the one out here, although they apparently backed out of that.
Correct.
So what do they do right now?
They do the same thing that they carry their children to either Pine Bluff, Yell County, or Arkansas County, just as we do. As a county, once a juvenile sees a judge, and the judge sends him either to JDC or postpones court, whatever the case may be, at that point he becomes the responsibility of the county. When I say the responsibility of the county, it's our county's responsibility to house, to pay for the house. We have 5 beds, standard 5 beds. We pay for 5 beds at Jefferson County. Whether we have someone in them or not, we always have beds available. And the city has the same option to have the beds there or somewhere else. What their choice is, I don't know. They can take them there. Once they see a judge, then they go over to we start paying for them. I think that's a lot of times what they're referring to, one of the issues they're having at nighttime, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, they can't find a place to set these juveniles. And the expense of traveling too. It's on Jefferson County, the city of Harvard, don't want to do that.
But for those Miller County youth that are sentenced, let's say 3 months in jail, they spend that 3 months up in Pine Bluff.
Yes, sir. At the county's expense. We have 5 beds that cost the county, I think, $150,000 a year that we pay to have 5 beds up there. We're in the process of trying to get more beds, just in case of the overflow of influx. But right now, we're only housing 2 children up there. One of them's probably fixing to go home next week.
I guess I'm curious if you've got some concrete proposal that you might be able to put together. I don't know what we can do.
It's a challenge, and we know it's a challenge, and we know this was a step to come here and to even present or what we're dealing with. But Just say if that child was a Miller County child that was in our facility for 205 days. Because, and are they lost in the system? Does anybody know they're there? I mean, and that's just a question I have. We've had a child go to court and get sent back because no placement. But we're just trying to figure out, are we a disservice to a child? Because at the end of the day, it is a child that's been in our hospital for 205 days.
Well, my district is completely within the city limits, so,
Yes.
I'm kind of thinking I want to represent, my constituents, which would include these kids.
Yes.
So I would like maybe to talk more about this.
Yes. And my CEO, she wished she could have been here because she could speak more volumes to what we have to say. She was sick, so she didn't want to get in one sick. But we want to have a continued conversation would be the biggest thing. We just want to get conversations started on what we can do. Not to point the fingers at anyone, but what we can do to help or, fix the barriers that we're having within our hospital. Because all of you sat there and you probably heard something about Riverview a time or two. This probably wasn't wasn't a good light. It's different at Riverview. Our CEO is different, Chauncey's different, I'm different. I care about my children. I have children. And we want to bring the lights that was the awareness that what we're really dealing with, that when people see Riverview, they say, well, it's kind of got a bad connotation to it. Well, it doesn't. It's just what we deal with on a regular basis.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
We can't do anything about out of state, out of county.
Yes.
DYS.
Right.
How many Miller County kids do you have?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I would have to go back and check it, but we had a few.
Yes.
But a few is, to me, it's too.
But-
Are you making the
Just a little more
distinction?
into
Are you making the distinction between Miller County kids that are generated anywhere within Miller County or the ones that are outside the city limits?
So I would say generate anywhere in Milton County.
We don't have any essential responsibility for those inside the city limits until they are adjudicated. They're the city's responsibility.
And
So any of the children that are in our care that's within your area, those are the ones that you would want to help and do something
it's the only
about.
ones we can do.
Okay. That's good. That's a start.
I will say that we've got some great probation officers, they do a good job, so I can't imagine any of them falling through any cracks.
No, not Holly.
So,
No, they're phenomenal.
I think when we have another discussion, we need to have juvenile probation.
Yes, great. You have a great juvenile probation system. Holly, Crystal, Philip, they're all great, and they work well with us. And it's been a pleasant relationship in that we get all of our answers for questions answered from them, and they've been fantastic. Thank you.
We'll get something set up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
All business? New business?
Judge, we have an appropriation ordinance on the agenda. It passed through the Finance Committee with unanimous consent. And it has two items on there. One dealing with appropriation for two temporary positions in the sheriff's office to allow him to compensate for some people who's likely to lose in the state police, get some officers hired and trained. Also, there is one item for the county clerk's office for general supplies having to do with the election and some maintenance and service contracts. Once again, it came through the committee with the unanimous consent, does not require a second. And I would ask that the clerk read the ordinance.
Being enacted by the County of Miller, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled an appropriation ordinance to amend the annual operating budget as adopted by ordinance 2022-13, Section 1, annual budget adopted by reference. The annual budget for calendar year 2023, identified as 2023 annual budget, dated December 19, 2022, is hereby amended as follows. Exhibit A, appropriations. A copy of the complete budget shall be filed in the office of the county clerk and shall be available for inspection and copy person during normal business hours. Section 2, effective date. The ordinance is adopted to comply with provisions of the ACA 14-14-907 and shall be effective upon passage, dated this 13th day of March 2023. But I think that should read 12th day of June 2023.
Very well. I will move we pass the ordinance. There's no discussion.
Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Justice Wilson? Justice Hall?
Yes.
Justice Toombs?
Yes.
Justice Bender?
Yes.
Justice Stovall?
Yes.
Justice Raymond?
Yes.
Justice Smith?
Yes.
Justice Cowell?
Yes.
Justice Watkins?
Yes.
I'm sorry, 8411.
The ordinance.
No, 2023-8, sorry.
The next item was discussion on the solar plan. I've already pretty much did that. One thing I didn't say is that we are planning a ribbon cutting for the last week in June. We don't have a set date yet, but we will get that out to you just as quick as we can.
What was that, Kathy, you're running, what was it?
A ribbon cutting
Oh.
for the solar farm will be the last week of June. We haven't set the date yet, but I'll let you know.
Okay, remind everybody of this, that I'm a part of the Master Garden, so
Okay.
I'd like to see
We
it.
can do that.
Okay, well, this is the parliamentary garden that I didn't know that the county gave the money, they've got the grant, they've got the creative. If you've not been to the farmer's market, it's really going well, the garden is beautiful, and they painted the restroom, just,
A lot of hard work.
yeah, they're doing really well.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.